Hello and welcome to the fourth part of how to use annual plan for team sports. In this part we're going to cover specific conditioning and general conditioning components of the annual plan and finish up with these along with showing you Visual Basic script that's used to calculate the workloads in those components. What we did in the last couple of parts, we started by entering game related data, peaking index and facts related to training camp, travel, vacations and testing. Continue with skill related training details, strength training related details, speed training, power training related details, and what we are left with is the specific conditioning and general conditioning. So let's start with the specific conditioning. This one is set up to be used with soccer, but again you can modify all the drop-down lists and the name of the boxes, to suit your needs and suit the needs of your sport. So as with any other training component, we have a phase where you can define the phase name, subphase, number of games that indicates how many games you're playing in that week, and microcycle types. So let's start with setting up a basic phase. I created a list of couple of examples. So let's name this one block A. Again, we can merge, change the color, and these two might be subphase number 1, and this might be subphase number 2. Microcycle type, again, base, load, base and load. So I believe this is a pretty unique way to visualize the components of specific conditioning. In this case, that's related to different types of small-sided games. As you can see, I split them in 3 categories. The fourth one is a custom one. So first one is related to small-sided games. Those are usually 1v1 to 3v3 games, medium games, 4v4 to 6v6, and big games or normal games, 7v7 to 10v10. One interesting aspect I built is you need to enter game-related data in these columns. So if you have one game defined in a competition calendar up on the top, you're gonna see color-coded these cells where you need to enter the duration of the games. So you immediately know that you need to enter games, friendly games and league games into these cells, since these are big games, of course. Custom is related to anything you want. Might be some coaches like to put possession games in it, keep track of some form of a specific conditioning, whatever you wanna put over here. You can right click on this one and change the name to maybe possession games or any other form of a game you like to keep track of and plan for. So one thing we need to explain also is this string. So for small-sided games, I have a drop-down list of usual progression. So what does this mean is that we have 2 sets of 6 reps of 1 minute duration of small-sided game with 3-minute rest. That's related to a training number 1 in this week. So we potentially could repeat this one for 3 times. Next training might be similar or a bit harder, and in this case that's 2 sets of 6 reps, 1 minute long, 2.5 minutes rest. For all of these components, the duration and rest is defined in minutes. As you can see, in a general conditioning, we use seconds instead. So this string is mandatory because I use a Visual Basic script to pull out these numbers and calculate the workload. If we click on this cell, what it does, I can stretch it a bit. So what it does is calculates the training load of these cells, sum them up. So all of these have a weighting factor as well. So we assign a weighting factor for training load for small-sided games, weighting factor for medium games, and weighting factor for big games. Same for a custom field. So Visual Basic script is pretty similar to a normal formula I use in Excel. So it calls a Visual Basic script with a parameter, and that script returns a number. So here is how it looks in Visual Basic. We can go to developer, Visual Basic. I'll put it full screen. It's in modules, annual plan functions. Double click on that one, and here is the script, or actually it's a function. So here is the function. It's conditioning load minutes, and the parameter is string. It returns a double. That means a number with numerous decimal points. I put some comments so you can understand what it does, but basically it pulls out the number of sets using this code, number of reps, duration of the reps, and the duration of the rest period. What it does calculate later on is a total time and work time. Then calculate the density, and the training load is basically work time times density. If you want to do something else, a different formula, maybe non-linear or something, or whatever you want, you can modify this one. So that's how the function in VBA code looks like. If you go to this box, or again, if you click on the tab over here, specific conditioning is going to take us to a drop-down list, and I created a couple example of progressions usually used in small-sided games, some of them defined by Raymond Verheyen. So you can see the step 1, step 2, step 3 in a note. This is a usual progression in those type of games, medium-sided games, and a big game. Big games. A custom, you can define your own string. I suggest using this as a starting point, and then building up whatever different combo you want to set up for different types of specific conditioning components you are actually using. So again, this is set up for soccer. You can set up for handball, basketball, or whichever sport you are working on. This one over here, similar to strength training, it gives me calculus of the training load for the different drills, or actual duration of the drills. So I can see the loads and compare, and I'll show you one neat trick. Why is this being done quickly or later in the video? So if you go back to annual plan, let's clear these. the first thing we need to do is to enter the data related to games. This string means we are playing one set of one rep of 45, which means only one half is being played. That's usual for first couple of games in a preparatory period to get the guys going and accumulate some game time over weeks. Might switch to 60 minutes, and then we might play a full game, which is this one. It's 2 times 45 minutes. Rest is 15 minutes. Again, this is a format you need to use so the function could work and could pull the data out. As you can see, load is not calculated because I didn't select medium games. Using checkboxes, you can see progression in load. You can see a progression in load over time for different components. This gives you a quick visual overlook of how you're progressing over weeks. To calculate the total load, you click all. Again, going to a training load, you assign different weighting factors for different components. We can talk more about this one and mention table a little bit later. Going back to annual plan. So suppose we enter all the game-related data. As I said, in soccer it's two halves of 45 minutes. Small-sided. Let's say we play 6 games of 1 minute. Duration of the rest is 2 minutes. Medium games might involve a bit longer. So let's say we played 6 times 8 minute games. This might be 6v6 or something. And again, big games, 7v7, 10v10. Same with the possession. In this case, so it might be anything you want to define. You still need to use this type of load prescription. So that's basically how this works. If you have more session in a week, you enter the first one here, training number 2 here, training number 3 here. Using phases, what's usually being done at the moment in a lot of soccer clubs by influence of Raymond Verheyen, he has 3 blocks basically, where he puts emphasis on either small-sided games, medium games, or big games, and rotate those blocks over time. In preseason, each of that block is around two weeks long, and in season it's around 1 week long. So 1 week in season might look like, let's say we start here because it's clear. We might play a big game. I enter some of his steps over here, so we might play something like 3 times 15 minutes, and then next block we might play medium-sided game, 6 times 8, and small-sided conditioning game, 2 sets of 7 reps of 3 minutes. So this is usually one block. We can call it block A or block 1 or whatever you want to call it. The next thing that's being done in this system is to use, for example, in this week, we know the next week is going to involve this one. So you're going to use some form of introduction in this week, and it's usually half load. So if you played 6 reps of 8 minutes, you might do half of it, and that might involve 4 times 6 minutes, or 6 times 4 minutes, depending on a philosophy. again, you can see all those progressions by clicking over here. And then the normal ones, step 1, step 2, step 3, and 50% of load. You can see when you have an introductory week in a preceding week. For this block, you can use this one as a prescription on the workload. Back to annual plan. General conditioning, again, we have a phase and subphase. I'm not going to bother up setting up this. Number of games, again, indicator of number of games being played. The thing you could do if you're going to use, if you're going to freeze the panes, as I told you before, you can click over here, go to a view, go to freeze panes and freeze. You can always see the top top couple of rows, and what you can do is you can probably delete this one because you don't need it. You can see all the info up here, so you have immediately know how many games do you have in this week and other related data for planning. So for general conditioning, I'm going to unfreeze this one. So for general conditioning, I use this type of organization. So similar to specific conditioning, I set up different components, different classifications. So first one involves all the running based conditioning that's being done from 80 to 90% of maximum aerobic speed. 90 to 100, that's going to take you to drop down list again. 100 to 110, 110 to 130, and over 130, that's usually involve glycolytic conditioning and stuff like that. RCA, or repeat sprint ability, that involves training of the repeat sprints, and general circuits and cross training, that might involve some bodyweight circuit, leg circuit, any cross type training, might be heavy bag, sandbag, pool workout, cycling, and whatever you're being using. So for these, again, you have a drop down list. It's pretty similar. For 80 to 90% of mass, I use minutes to describe the workload, and for every other, we can use seconds. By clicking on these boxes, I decide which component I want to see in a total load down there and visualized. So by clicking on a general conditioning, that's going to take us to a general conditioning tab. As you can see, all the drop-down lists and a couple of tables that include some example workloads for different type of conditioning. That might involve threshold run, extensive intervals, some form of intensive intervals. Same over here. And for running conditioning over 130% of maximum aerobic speed, those involve lactic power, lactic capacity training, tempo running if you are used to Charlie Francis terminology, and repeat sprints are prescribed in seconds. So if you do 3 sets of 7 5-second sprints with 20-second rest, you prescribe it like this. Here at the end is a table, so you can basically see the different conditioning types and energy systems involved based on a percentage of maximum aerobic speed, Martin Boucher 30-15 intermittent field test, some percentage of maximum heart rate, some usual physiological events. This might be threshold number 1, threshold number 2, VO2 max, and this is an aerobic reserve based on 100% of mass, and this is an aerobic reserve based on 30-15 velocity. Over here is a quick tab that's related to physiological events, to maximum aerobic speed and heart rate. So you can quickly see what are each training component, training drill is causing, or what intensity you need to select. Over here is a list of different durations of the drills for 80 to 90, 90 to 10, 100 to 110, 110 to 130, and over 130, and repeat sprints. So this is all from a drop-down list, so you can quickly see the workload calculated. So same as with specific conditioning, I use this table to select some form of a normative workload. I'm gonna get back to specific conditioning for this example. So as we said, each of these components, small-sided game, medium game, and the big game, they involve weighting factor. You can change the weighting factors by clicking on a training load. What you can do is, if you go to a specific conditioning tab and you see different drills and listed, what I did is I gave 500 points to 45 minutes friendly game. So if you play 45 minutes, you're gonna get 500 points in a training load. If you play 90 minutes, that's gonna be 857 based on calculations using mentioned Visual Basic function. Here in a medium-sided games, those are, as we said, 4v4 up to 6v6. So I want 5 sets of 8 to involve 500 points. Same thing with the small-sided games. I want 2 sets of 7 reps of 3 minutes duration, 1 minute rest to get 500 points. So I select the normative drill. So I say, okay, these 3 have similar stress to the body. So I select these 2 as some form of a normative training I want to base my weighting factor on. So how I do this? Here's a little trick. So we said, let's say I want this one, or I want a full game, which is this one, to give me 1000 arbitrary units in training load. So I go here, click on this cell, go to formulas or data, can't remember everything. So you go to what if analysis and goal seek. So what we can do this is I want to set this cell to 1000 by changing weighting factor for big games, and weighting factors again are in a red tab. So I want to change big games. I want to change this factor so that this cell gets 1000 points. Click OK. As you can see, the Excel found the solution, so that combining this load and the weighting factors gives me 1000 points for this one. If you go back here, we can see this one is changed to 15.31. I'm going to repeat it one more time to bring this one again to 500. So I want to set this cell to be 500. Go to what if analysis, goal seek. I want this cell to have a value of 500 by changing weighting factors for big games. So now it's 12.96. Click OK. Found the solution. Go back to weighting factor. Now it's 11.11. So that's how the weighting factors work. What you can do if you're a head coach, or if you're working as a strength conditioning coach, you can decide with the head coach what types of games gives you similar training load in terms of a body stress or RP, and then you can select them and do the goal seek as I explained, to get a certain amount of points for them. And that's how the weighting factors work, and that's why they are built into this workbook. Going back to annual plan, again, all of these workloads for different components are summed up in a total training load. Again, for them, by clicking over here, you can change their weighting factors. So you might assume, or you might give more points to a basketball training, less to a strength training, a little bit to speed, and depending on how big are these numbers, and what do you think is more important in terms of total load on the body. So that's how the worksheet looks like, and how it's designed to be used. Again, specific conditioning, these two are prescribed in minutes. General conditioning, the first one is prescribed in minutes. Every single one else is prescribed in seconds. So for the sake of example, let's say in this block we want to start with 30-30 conditioning, 30 seconds hard, 30 seconds easy, and then we can build upon that maybe 3 sets of 6. So we go to over here, we can enter any type of progression we like to use, or we are actually using at the moment. So that's how the things work. I believe this is a quite unique approach. One thing that's easier for this one is that we can set up 3 different training sessions in a week for specific conditioning. I believe this is important because most coaches give more importance to a specific conditioning than a general conditioning. So you can enter 3 different training sessions in 1 week for each type of specific conditioning. Not the case for general conditioning. It's usually done once or twice a week. Again, if you do it more, or you need some more extra room for comments, you can go to review and enter comment. So this might be done twice per week. So you did this twice a week. Similar to strength training, it gives you some indication of the progression of the core workouts, the one you are using. Again, most of the time coaches use one general conditioning from this one that might be extensive run or something, and something more intensive from this one. So that basically means we did one training session of this one and one of this one in this week. So that's how the things work for specific and general conditioning. One thing that I wanted to input as an additional box might be nutrition and recovery modalities, but maybe next couple of maybe next version or something, and depending on the need of the coaches. If you have some Excel knowledge, you can copy these, paste it, name it differently. Again, this might involve recovery procedures, so you can define different recovery procedures, or you can, if you want to do something like that, you can enter. You can insert column, and this might be different recovery procedures. Again, you can go to, if you understand how the Excel works and you have some intermediate skills for Excel, you can set up your own drop list and just modify this one any way you want. The point of this workbook is not to give a solution in terms of what you need to do, is to give you a tool how to put your philosophy and training calendar into one worksheet, so you can see the big picture, and you can work out your problem and your context. So again, the first tab is related to our annual plan. Second tab is related to daily information, so you can enter the content of each day within each microcycle. I hope you enjoyed the videos, and I hope you're gonna find this workbook usable to your own coaching problems. Any other problem you have with it, or you need some customizations, or if you find any bug or something, be free to contact me on my email. Till then, stay tuned.